Welcome to Before the Whistle live from Oglethorpe, where we are getting ready for Oglethorpe and Emory. It is the reverse fixture. Last time out, it was a 3-3. How do we want to phrase it, Maddie Cruz?
3-3.
Collegiate chaos?
Yes. Yes.
And so now we're here for the reverse fixture for the oldest rivalry in college soccer here in the Southeast. John here, Maddie there. We're here with you until the bottom of the hour, where we let things just kind of drift over to Jason at gopetrels.com. Jason will be giving you the call this evening. And it is when you try to get in here today, you're dealing with Brookhaven traffic. And when I came in, I was dealing with Brookhaven traffic a little bit. What the computer driving lady, and this is how I get to campus. This is how I traditionally get from point A to point B, is, computer driving lady.
As most people do.
Yeah. And so computer driving lady helps me out. And as it turns out, she tells me that the roads go from blue to yellow to red. Blue means you're cruising, yellow means there's problems, red means that there's issues. So she tells me that before I make a couple of turns, it's red. It is absolutely red. And so I didn't know why it was absolutely red. What they didn't tell you is that you were down one lane. You go from two lanes to one lane, and the one lane that traditionally we need to turn right,
yes,
to come onto Peachtree Road, was blocked off, and they had compressed one lane out, two lanes up, two lanes north, one lane south, to one lane north, one lane south. And I'm like, okay, I've got to use my DeKalb County driving acumen here to get here to make sure that everything is okay. So we're going to be here with you for the next little bit to the bottom of the hour. John Aiken, the head coach of the Stormy Petrels of Oglethorpe, joining us in just a sec. Then after him, it is John Aiken. And so this is where I turn it over to Maddie, and I turn to my right and sit there and go, okay, host of Oglethorpe Outlook on the SDH Network, what should we expect in this one as 3-1-4 meets 3-4-1?
I mean, it's one of the oldest rivalries, I think, here in Atlanta. I mean, it's always a fun one. I remember the one before that we had earlier, it was a 3-3 draw.
Why,
the
yes,
one before
it was.
that, it was a 2-2 draw.
Uh-huh.
Both of these teams, they play so differently. And so when they're coming into a matchup like this, it's a lot's at stake. A lot's at stake. Who gets the bragging rights for, who's the king of Atlanta, getting to make their mark and getting to come in here. And, they played at Emory. Oglethorpe came and played at Emory, 3-3 draw. Emory's coming here. We're going to have the home fans behind us, too. It's going to be a fun atmosphere here today. I'm excited.
Evening, Sharif. And for those of you who are wondering, we also have our conversation wide open on the Twitch pitch. So if anyone has anything that they wish to say on any of the social medias that are out there, it is on the 280-character app. It's on Twitch. It's on our YouTube channel. So we're here with you once again for the next 25 minutes. 23 minutes. Last time out, it was full-blown craziness. January, February, March, April. So September 2nd, in front of an announced crowd of just under 600 over at Emory in Northeast Atlanta. This was a game that was 3-1 at the break. So you end up with a PK at 8:08 from Josh Grand. You end up with a goal at 19:47 from Lorenzo Avalos. You end up with a goal at 22:42. So 2 minutes and 55 seconds after goal number 2 comes goal number 3 from Grant McCarty. And you end up right there for Emory, leading 3-0. And a lot of us are sitting there, and if we had that on the bingo card, I think we were fibbing.
I mean, going into halftime, I think for that game, it was like, okay, Oglethorpe's got to get back into this one. And they did. They ended up coming back in a great way. David Amah with the tying goal of the game, a beautiful goal as well, was able to pick it out perfectly. And I mean, it was almost like they won the championship with how they celebrated. And I mean, that's exactly what you want, though. This is a great rivalry, and you get to see all of these players care so much, especially in this moment. They want to be able to have the bragging rights. And also, it's a fun rivalry. It's a fun day of soccer, especially celebrating both of these sides.
Well, it's fun for those of us that cover it. Let's put it that way.
Yes. It's fun for us.
When you go to gopetrels.com at the top of the hour and you get to hang out with Jason, it's fun. It's chaos. It is two fan bases that are incredibly rabid about what they feel when it comes to these particular teams and how they're not fans of the other side, especially.
I'm also anticipating, because of how close it is, you might get some away fans for Emory coming in here. causing a ruckus. I think we might get
Don't
some.
go up North Druid Hills Road. If you haven't left yet and you're trying to get here by 7 o'clock, use your DeKalb County driving acumen. North Druid gets you so far. So when North Druid meets Buford Highway, if you're taking North Druid Hills, you might want to go north on Buford Highway and then go turning left onto Claremont Road, then left on Dresden to get you to Peachtree to get you here into campus. So that's your traffic report here on the 9s.
We're doing a little like daily news thing. We're going to have you directing traffic.
Well, but it's only because I've lived here most of my life and I know how to dance around all these things. So yeah, if you're coming from Emory, and I'm helping out our Emory friends here.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're coming up North Druid Hills, get to Buford Highway, turn right. Don't go past Brookhaven MARTA station that way because East Rock Springs is down to 1 lane north, 1 lane south. Go north on Buford Highway, turn left onto Claremont Road, turn left onto Dresden. Then that gets you up to, I know you're kind of going around things to go around the Brookhaven MARTA station, but do that to get here so you're not caught in 1 lane north and 1 lane south on East Rock Springs as you're heading to Peachtree Road. That's your traffic report. But no, you mentioned how it was 3-0 in this first matchup. Then you end up with a goal in the 40th minute. And that means that it was 3-1 at the break. Then you end up when, so initially we were over at the Emory campus watching this first one. So at 3-0, first off, we had to pick our jaws up off the floor.
Yes.
Then it's 3-1 and we're sitting there thinking, okay, maybe there's something here. So that was important for Oglethorpe. And we catch up with John Aiken when he gets here, and we'll discuss this first go around, and then we'll get to the history and everything. But then early part of the second half, it's 3-2. And then we're sitting there going, okay. And then you get to the front of your seat. And you're kind of sitting there going, okay, so what's this going to look like? And so it gets to 3-2. And then you mentioned the Daniel Lamar goal at technically 89:05 from Owen Van Marter. And so we're back where we started at 3-3 after 2-2. So when you look at these two teams, and obviously we'll get the spot shadow comments from John Aiken about how things have gone for his first 8 matches so far. When you look at these two teams, what do you see away from the rivalry? And what have you seen in Oglethorpe this year at Oglethorpe Outlook? And what do you see in Emory this season?
I mean, especially for Oglethorpe, you're coming off of a really good result on the road in your first game in SAA conference play against Center, a 4-2 victory. Ben Alrum had a brace. Adrian Levy also had a brace in that game. Getting those players going has been huge. Adrian Levy has been huge offensively for Oglethorpe this entire season. What he's been able to do, not only inside the box, but also even outside the box. He's able to find it. He's able to pick out the net, and he's able to shoot. And that's what you need. And you need a dynamic scorer, and that's where they found in Adrian Levy. Getting Ben Alrum back into the mix, too, that's also huge for them. Getting the chance to complete their team in that sense, because Ben Alrum has been such a pivotal player for them. He also earned SAA Offensive Player of the Week. Last week, it was 2. It was a defensive David Ama, and then as well as Adrian Levy coming in. You're starting to see the pieces work. At the beginning of the season, it was a little difficult. It was a slow moving, and now you're seeing the pieces come together. Emory hasn't played a game since September 21st.
Yep.
This is their first game back. Obviously, a lot of the things in rescheduling happened due to the hurricane. So that is one of those things. And especially going out, anyone who is affected by the hurricane, it's absolutely insane what we're seeing as well. So thoughts and prayers out to everyone who is dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. But Emory hasn't played a game since September 21st. They're coming into this a little bit rusty, maybe. Haven't had an actual in-game play because there's only so much you can replicate in training. So this is going to be the first taste of, hey, let's see what both of these teams can do. And, you know, Oglethorpe, Emory had the best of them in the first half. Oglethorpe was able to come back. Let's see what Oglethorpe can pick out here today.
Yeah, you mentioned Daniel Levy getting the 2 goals that get us to 3-2 before the Daniel Lamar equalizer to get us to 3-3. So breaking down Emory's season to get us here, they started off once again. They hit each column once in their first 3 in the Sonny Carter Invitational, losing to Belhaven, drawing Belhaven on the back end, and then the 3-3 with Oglethorpe and Belhaven with the tie there in the Sonny Carter, and then you end up with a tie for Oglethorpe and for Emory in the 3-3. So 0-1-1 out of the Sonny Carter. Then they go to the John P. Salomon Invitational, and they beat the University of Lynchburg 2-1, then lose to Roanoke College back on September 8, 1-0. Then you go to the Colorado College Tournament, and they play UT Dallas, beating UT Dallas 4-1. Then, since it's at Colorado College, they play Colorado College, number 7 in Division III, and happy 50th anniversary to Division III and Division III athletics. 2-1 losers to Colorado College. That gets them out of the invitational section of the program. Then you win at Swanee, you lose at Covenant, and that gets them to today. And what both of these coaches like to do, we see this in a lot of sports. You see it in college football. You see it in college basketball. What you want to do is you want to set up your play and think of it as 3 separate seasons. You have your non-conference, non-region schedule, which you hope sets you up for your conference schedule, which you hope sets you up for your postseason. And so you're seeing that with both of these sides where, yes, it's 3 wins out of your first 8, but they're coming at you from different directions, but you do that to challenge yourself, to get yourself going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, because once you get to conference play, it's a new season. Because at that point, it's, okay, now we're fighting to be top seed in SAA and getting everything rolling. Conference play is so huge in that preseason. It's almost like a second preseason, getting the chance to go up against these teams. Obviously, those results are huge and they matter, but this is a match where you get to really test it a little bit more and see where things can go. And things are moving in the right direction. So
we're going to catch up here with John Aiken, the head coach of the Stormy Petrels. He's shaking hands. He look at the size of that water bottle he's got. That is crazy large.
You have to stay hydrated, John.
Oh, that is not in dispute. That is not in dispute that you have to stay hydrated. But in John Aiken's case, he's going to stay crazy hydrated here as he hangs out here and joins us.
Oh, yeah.
I was noticing the size of that water bottle, man.
Yeah.
That you're staying. Yeah. There's hydrated and then there's crazy hydrated.
I'm crazy hydrated.
So you look at this matchup. We kind of broke everything down leading into this one. What were some of your takeaways from the craziness from a couple of weeks ago when it was 3-3?
We had some self-inflicted wounds early. It was also our second game of the season with 7 new players in the lineup. So I think some of those things have been hopefully ironed out. We'll find out. And we don't dig ourselves a hole like we did.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a soccer game. So you gotta do what the game calls for. And hopefully we don't have to make a dramatic comeback and it's a more commanding performance. I believe they're going to be a lot more fresh than we are since they've had 10 days off. But we'll find out if our rhythm, the way we're playing right now, is going to overcome a little bit of fatigue. And we'll find out from the boys tonight.
Looking at Emory and what they can bring to this game, what are some of the things you've noticed about their game and what threats do they bring to you guys?
They're a very big, strong physical side, typical UAA soccer, built for very direct, built for second balls, built for second pieces. They can play a bit for a bigger side. They do have some technical players, but I think they try to use that size to their advantage and those key moments. That's what probably concerns me the most, and the fatigue factor from us coming into the game. But if we can control the game, through ball possessions and defend by having the ball a little bit more, I think good things can happen.
So when you look at a team that hasn't played in X number of days, like they haven't, I mean, you could look at that one of two ways. You can sit there and say, okay, they haven't played, they're fresh, or they haven't played, they might be a little rusty coming out of the blocks, and them coming to your place, possibly not as game sharp, taking advantage of game state and those kinds of things. Obviously, I would think you're looking to pounce on them early to make sure that they've got a hill to climb for the remainder of the match.
The absolute opposite.
Really?
I don't want to give anything away early, so we're going to be a little more conservative.
Okay.
Just so, I mean, look what happened. I think we were being positive and we were a little sloppy, and I think that had much more to do with us being early in the season and figuring some things out. But I also don't want to dig ourselves a hole that we can't get out of. I mean, we're a team that can score 4 or 5 goals a game.
Yes.
So if we don't have to overcome that, I think we'll grow into the game a little bit more. I don't expect to win it in the first 10 or 15, but I don't want to have to try to tie it up with a unbelievable 45 minutes.
You don't want to have to lose it in the following 45.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So
I do have to ask, Adrian Levy for you guys has been unstoppable this season. What he's been able to do inside the box, also outside the box, able to score from outside the 18. How important has it been for you to see him get going, and what does he bring to this side?
Adrian, a very talented player from South Florida, transferred from FAU. He has some tools. I think last year he realized that it's a much higher level than he probably thought, and he put a lot of time in the off season getting more fit. And I think that was his biggest thing. He had those tools last year, but he didn't have the stamina to last for long periods in a game. And he's shed weight. He's got more match fit. And prior to the season, which is allowing him to play longer spurts. And he's one of the best ball strikers that I've coached in my tenure here. And he's just finally, I think, figuring out the right areas to use, his skill set. And he's a wonderful ball striker. And I think he's trying to find the right areas to use that skill. And you're right. He can shoot from outside the box. He's very clever inside the box. So, we hope he keeps going.
Before the whistle, live here from Oglethorpe as we get you ready for Oglethorpe and Emory coming up at the top of the hour. Jason will have the call. Jason Longshore on the call at GoPatriots.com. For someone who has never seen this rivalry, that we talk about it a lot. We like to visit. We like to hang out with it and see, because we know what it means to the fabric of soccer in the Southeast. For someone who's never seen it, never experienced it, and doesn't know, what D3 soccer can be.
Right.
Doesn't know what rivalries can be across the board in places unfamiliar. How would you describe what this rivalry is within the context of soccer in the Southeast?
Yeah, I think it's two of the top 3 soccer programs in the Southeastern United States, Virginia to Louisiana to Tennessee, no D3 in Florida. So, and I think, and we'll have your fans fact check this, but we know we're the 2 oldest programs in Georgia. And I think it's the longest standing rivalry. We've played every year since 1961. It means a lot to both programs because we're both standouts on the national scale. But it's the Battle of Atlanta and Battle 85, North Druid Hills Battle. Whatever
you mentioned Battle of Atlanta, and all I can think of is Joe Corley and have karate flashbacks.
Yeah,
shows you how old I am. That's full disclosure.
Yeah, So it would be interesting to know if there's another older rivalry. I mean, I know Harvard and some of the Ivies have played since maybe even pre-1900, but I think when Jason and I were doing some fact checking a couple years ago, I believe it's the 2 oldest college teams in the state of Georgia, and I would argue there are very few other ones that have started earlier. So the rivalry, it turns over every 4 years, but each coach knows that even though it doesn't matter in conference play, their goal is still to win the UAA, and our goal is still to win the SAA and get that automatic bid. I don't think this match is going to be very determinate on how either one of our seasons fare with regards to the NCAA championship, unless both of us go on an unbeaten run. And I think that changes the conversation a little bit, but it's an impact game. It's, this is the last time, unless we meet each other in the tournament, which is a very real possibility too. It's the last time we'll play each other for a year. So we go after a lot of the same kids. People know that we're 2 of the top programs. So if we can carry that grudge match with a win over the course of the year, it's going to help us.
I mean, how fun is it to, you go to Emory earlier in the season, so many fans came out for that game, and having that support, then getting the chance to come back home. How fun has it been to watch all of the fans really buy into this rivalry, and having some of those fans come out and go away, go to Emory, support you guys there, and then having some of the Emory friends come here, support them a little bit? How has it been to watch the fans really buy into this rivalry?
Yeah, I think that they get energized by the quality of the game. I think they know a little bit about it, and I think the history helps build that up. But I think when you watch these games, it's really good stuff. I mean, I'm not sure if the listeners quite know that, we have 14 Division I transfers in our lineup. I mean, Emory has, Princeton's team captain, from a year ago. I mean, it's really, really high level from the quality of the players that we have and then the product we put out there. Both teams are very good. Clayton, Emory's assistant, worked for me for 3 years, and Corey does a really good job with his group. And obviously it's Emory, so they're going to get great players that come in there. So it's exciting, and we hope that this game lives up to the hype.
23 after. How many more minutes do we have you for?
As long as you want.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
our staff is well trained, and they know what to do. At this point, we've given the lineup, we've gone over our preparation. There's not much I can do for the guys outside of some schedule changes in based on reading their performances, who might need a break, who need some changes. This is about them at this point, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this opportunity.
All right. So then, what have you learned about yourself across the board in these first 8 matches? Do you think?
I've learned that we've dominated. There's 2 halves where we were poor. Washington and Lee for just a few minutes in Emory's first half.
Right.
Outside of that, I think we've had a lot of quality. The only reason why we haven't won those draws, outside of the Lynchburg game, I thought that was a very even game against a good team that was in the national tournament last year. It's just come down to finishing, and that's what the game is. We create as many opportunities against good opponents as anybody in the country, and I've tried to stress to the guys, and that's what we do. We work on a lot of training, the timing of the runs, the mentality when you're attacking a ball, when how you breathe when you're striking through a ball, and hopefully those repetitions are going to translate to that. And if we finish well, there's not a team in the country that's going to beat us.
Okay, follow up. I'm going to use my first follow up here.
And you should.
How you breathe when you're striking through a ball.
Correct. Yeah.
How
you're striking through a ball. So if you hold your breath in, okay, you're more uptight and tense. And if you are looking at a cross coming in at 45 miles an hour and you're on a dead sprint, if you hold your breath in, you're more tense, which means you're less relaxed. And it also helps bring into focus what you might be seeing in that last millisecond as it goes onto your foot. So I talk to players about actually saying in your head what you're about to do with a mind-body connection, and breathing can help with that. So, when you're striking through a ball, I say, heel down, toe up to pin the ball to the ground and go through it. And the same thing, breathing out when you're striking a ball as opposed to holding your breath. It could be the angle or the relaxation to not try to apply too much pressure, especially when a ball is coming in at that kind of pace. You don't need to add anything to it. You just need to have your body in the right position to direct it in the right area. And that's one of those things that I try to teach these guys. And it takes thousands and thousands of reps, but unfortunately, it's some of the first time these guys have heard this.
So, but it's almost like a bat to a ball on a fastball. It's like pitcher throws a fastball, just get your bat on it. You don't have to swing hard when he's throwing a fastball.
No, it's going to go through the infield, or ours, we hope it hits the back of the net.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Maddie, go for it.
I love the analysis that we're getting as well. That's very interesting. I mean, one thing.
That door.
I enjoy it. That's I think people talk so much about tactics.
Absolutely.
And it's important, but almost every goal that we've given up, and I would argue that almost every goal given up is more so to do with technical breakdowns than tactical.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes in my question, piggyback off of that. How important is it to emphasize not only the tactics and the physicality, but also like the mental side of the game, especially heading in and doing all these games and just having the right mindset heading into a game and not allowing the game as a whole to really take over, and having the mindset to break it down and breathe for a second.
Yeah, I think it's always a little give and take. You know, you want to talk about the importance of the moment, but you also don't want to apply too much stress to players. So so much of it, especially with new players, is getting to know what makes them tick, and getting to know what works for them. And I usually make, I have my style, and I think it works for the most part, but we also have to get to know them as players, and they have to get to know us a little bit. So it's an ongoing process. I mean, I think I'll do things a little bit differently with the same players later in the year than I did in the beginning of the year. Sometimes you need to talk about what they need to do, and sometimes you need to say nothing and let them process that. And I I don't have the answer to what that is, and that's the fun thing about teams that change annually. Continuity is one thing, but it also brings a freshness to the group, and they bring their own personalities and qualities, and it makes it fun and keeps us young for the most part.
No doubt about it.
I'll use my second follow-up.
Go ahead and use your follow-up. Yeah, go for it.
Since we'll like buzz it in.
Yes.
Keep
we need
going.
a buzzer. Just follow up.
Let's do it.
We'll get an SDH buzzer
There you
right
go.
there.
There you go.
I mean, picking back off of what you said, how do you balance making a player fit to what your style is going to be, but allowing them to still be individual and letting them be themselves?
Ooh, that's a really good question. We're actually in mid-analysis right now on our transfers, on how many games they played, how many games they started, and does that translate to a direct correlation and level and quality of program? Does that directly translate to success here? And I don't know the answer to that. We just pulled the stats this week, but that's going to help us shape what kind of player we're going for in the off season, because there could be a correlation, and it could be more about it didn't work out there because of those qualities, and we're a better fit for that program, for that player, with the way we do things here. And that's fun. So hopefully we glean the applicable information from that curiosity that I had on the bus interviewing. I just had the wheels turning and 6.5 hours to think, and I'm like, you know what, that'd be a pretty good idea to with as many players that we pick up from other places, what working out here versus working out there, wherever that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're looking forward to it with Jason on the call on GoPetrels.com at the top of the hour. Thanks for dropping by.
No, glad to be here. Wouldn't be anywhere else. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Be good, be safe. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Okay, go for it. I will take this, and then we'll. You want to tag out with the guy wearing the green golf shirt there? I will. Cool, thank you. It's great to catch up with John Aiken, as always, one of the great friends at SDH Network. Once again, top of the hour, it's GoPetrels.com. Jason Longshore on the call, and it will be Jason, and he'll be breaking things down with Emory and Oglethorpe. Looking forward to that coming up in just a little bit. And we're being bombarded by Shabuzi.
I love it. This is one of the songs actually that I've been listening to heading out. I've started to create. I've got this from Jason. Started creating a little bit of a playlist for when I'm getting ready to call games in the car, and this is on it.
Okay.
It's a little hype song.
So
it's a hype song. Get the going.
MC4D. There are guys that do country EDM.
Ooh.
What country EDM?
Country, yeah. No, we were talking about this.
Why are we still in the air with him talking country EDM? What's happening?
Because of this song. What they did is they mixed this song with Country Roads by John Denver.
Auburn thing?
No, it is not an Auburn thing. So, and it was Wagon Wheel by Darius Rucker.
Good song.
And it is an amazing mix. I'm not kidding.
Don't listen to him when it comes to this stuff. Please don't.
All right. So a couple of minutes. What are you looking at with this one?
Who starts with control? I think for these two teams, as John was talking about, they know it's going to be a 90-minute match. It's not going to be decided in 30, especially after last time. So who can get some control early? That's something that I think, as we've talked about through all the different soccer that we've covered this year, is control is such an important factor. And it's hard to define. I think Oglethorpe's control would be with the ball and in field position. Emory's control would honestly be in the way that they defend. And they start to win some challenges and they start to do that. The energy starts to pick up on their side. So they're going to look for control in different ways. They both honestly might feel like they have control at the same time. But ultimately, who can get that control and dictate the way the game plays out?
It always feels like, especially watching that game at Emory, it never felt like one team, because you can watch a match sometimes and watch and be like, okay, this team's in full control. They know what they're doing. They have most possession. They know what they're doing. But in these situations, these games, it never feels like one team has control over the other. It always feels very split and down the middle, and you never know because it could be anyone's game.
Yeah, it's a huge game for these two teams as we wrap up Before the Whistle Live. It's a game where both are either one game into conference or going into conference when it comes to Emory. They know that they have to win their conference to go to the NCAA tournament. This is that last big test outside of conference play. So I think both teams are going to go for it. It's not bad blood. I think it's just friction between two teams that have drawn twice dramatically both ways last time's out. So I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out tonight on top, if either one does.
Right.
And honestly, what their takeaways will be. And you guys are going to interview players from both, coaches from both. There's going to be an after the whistle. So be on the lookout for that on all of our platforms.
Looking forward to it. All right. Hit the promo. How can folks watch you?
Go to GoPetrels.com, go to the men's soccer page, the schedule page, hit the watch link. I'll have it on my social media as well at Longshoe. It'll also be on the Soccer Down Here social media with that link. But we'll start a little after 7 o'clock. I'll be up on Petey's perch up on top, and we'll go from there.
It's always fun to be here for one of the best rivalries in all of soccer, regardless of division, regardless of geography. And we are here for Before the Whistle. We'll be here during the whistle with this guy at GoPetrels.com, and then after the whistle with all of us.
Then we'll be talking about it on Atlanta Soccer tonight on 90.
That's right.
10 o'clock, live from here. John Aiken will be joining me again in the first segment of the show. Then we got a lot of Atlanta United to talk about after that.
Time to go.
Time to go.
Adios, everybody.
All right, we're going to hit the button. We'll see you once again a little after the top of the hour. GoPetrels.com with Jason, Oglethorpe, and Emory. Thanks for hanging out with us pregame.